localchristianbookstore.com.
localchristianbookstore.com.
Go to localchristianbookstore.com.
Together, we're hoping we can drive a bunch of new customers into your stores.
Ongoing journey that we want to be on with Christian retailers.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us at our workshop. We're going to kick off our day of presentations with gifts. Gifts are about 25 or more percent of every store's business. It feels like good number, and it's usually the first thing everybody sees. So you need a really good first impression as soon as they walk in the door, and really good merchandising for it. I have worked with Christian Art Gifts now for a few years, and I will say I couldn't have thought of anybody better for this. Every ad I've gotten, I toured their warehouse one time. It was as spectacular as their ads are. Their product selection is so good. I couldn't think of anybody better to bring up here. So Jeff Francisco is the key accounts rep for Christian Art Gifts. He has about 12 years of retail experience and about 25 years in this industry. So with that, Jeff, you want to come on up?
Well, thank you. Privileged being here, kind of honored, and I feel like I'm talking to some experts, but I've really enjoyed my time. 17 years with Christian Art Gifts, and the other side was publishing. And so we're just going to get right into it. Of course, Christian Art Gifts is the gift workshop. I have to spend a little bit of time doing something that's a little uncomfortable for me, and that's telling you a little bit more about myself, because that'll help you understand the presentation. I did come from a journalism, television broadcasting major, so I see everything in a square, so it's got to look pleasing to the eyes. But I also have retail experience of 12 years, so I'm very concerned about every square inch being designed right, getting the sales that you need. So we're going to just jump right in. 3 goals we're going to have today. We're going to look at top ways to merchandise products, get sales in either collections, displays, and then by category. So those are the 3 main ways. We'll spend more time in the upper 2 being collections and displays. I'm kind of a right brain, left brain type of person. I love a lot of the logical, analytical stuff, so I just thought we'd read a few of these together. 62% of shoppers make impulse purchases when attracted to an appealing display and are more inclined to make unplanned purchases. 8 out of 10 shoppers base their buying decisions on what they see in the store. Products at eye level are 82% more likely to be picked up and bought, so very, very key there. Shoppers are 60% more likely to notice a product displayed at the end of an aisle, another key, place in the stores. Grouping similar products together can increase sales by up to 14%. And you'll notice there's different dates on all these, and you can get the resources there. Cross-merchandising products as complementary displays can boost sales up to 20%. Shoppers spend 20% more time in shops with well-designed visual merchandising. And then 73% of customers say that good visual merchandising makes them more likely to return. This next slide, I couldn't decide if I should do secrets, principles, or rules, so I did it all. One thing we're really going to focus in on is this pyramid principle that takes basically your main product, the biggest one you have, and put it like a pyramid, and then stagger it down with smaller products going down on each side, and products in front. So it's very, very key. You can use that with various display tables, risers, stands, things like that. But it gives us a real balanced approach of how to do the gifts. That's probably our most successful ways as we've talked to retailers and done it in our own showrooms, at shows, booths, things like that. The other interesting rule is, known this a long time, but like the 2-finger rule. When you have a product and the shelf above it, it shouldn't be any more than 2 fingers. And the reason being stated there is that you want to make it look full and a nice presentation, but also easy for them to grab and go and not be cumbersome. Then this takes me to my retail days. I was a regional sales manager for Sam, so I got a chance to travel around to quite a few locations. And one of my goals was I wanted to watch people. As a father, I can say, I love you, and I can tell you, but what do I show you? My actions will probably speak louder than my words. Well, I always watched people when they entered our stores. I wanted to make sure it was a pleasant parking lot. The windows were great. The entrance was great. I love this quote that window displays alone can boost your foot traffic 23%. And I remember early on as a manager in the stores that the way to increase sales, I always thought, getting the customer to buy more, that's true. But boy, if you can get traffic in there, the way you merchandise will take care of itself. That's how you really increase sales. So that was, I think, a very valuable insight for me. How they enter. We would, merchandise for moms, and I realized that, like a mom with kids, the first X amount of feet, she's not concerned about merchandise. She's concerned about getting the kids in the buggy and getting them off her hip and putting the purse up, getting the coat off, things like that. So we didn't really bombard her with a lot of stuff at the very front. We want to make it welcoming, open, and things like that. Then the other really main thing is when they enter, look at the path that they take. And I would encourage you to take a regular intervals, time in your stores, maybe give your part-time associates more hours, just where you can sit back and watch. Because if you watch the pattern of how they shop, where they go, what they stop at, you're going to quickly find that, I need to make sure that end cap has the best of the best, or that feature table is the best, or this category, I need to spend more time there and go down from there. Next up, let's just get right into the objectives. By collection, a lot of this is very elementary, but you look at the season, you look at the occasion, you look at the audience. What are you trying to do? Men, women, Father's Day, Mother's Day, teachers, grads, whatever. And then also we're going to deal really quite a bit with this vertical versus horizontal. And I think the best way to look at that is via pictures. This is our showroom in Dallas. And of course you guys don't all have displays like this. I'm just trying to give you a good concept. But so this is the vertical where you have the same collection going top to bottom, and you spread it out, but you also make it look full and compacted. What makes me a little nervous is when I see shelving. I don't ever want to really deal with try to sell the shelving. I don't want to sell the display, so I want to show as much product as possible, and we'll show you even more pictures as we go through here. So there's 2 different approaches when you talk about displaying collections, in my opinion, the main approaches. The pyramid, which we talked about a little bit and we'll talk more about, but also this descending approach. If you'll look in the upper right-hand corner, it's a good example of a major wall decor piece for men. Then you got the Bible cover and the mug, and then we've got a couple other pieces. So it kind of does a V, but this would be you start with your biggest product first and go down from there. That's a nice way you can do it. Still think the pyramid is better based on all the research I've done. Then we could look at the collections, and you look at too much versus too little. And again, that's my right brain and my left brain just fighting. And so too much sales, I'm always looking at sales per square foot, every little bit I can get. But you don't want to be overcrowded, so you got to have that balance with, make sure that it's enough so you can get that sales per square foot. This is our booth in Dallas, and this is definitely, in my opinion, too crowded. I actually wish I could show you all 3 shelves. I should have done that, but this is too crowded. So what I had to do is I had to take darker collections, a lighter one, a plain one with prints, and just kind of variety, the best that I could, and keep the collections together by certain audiences. Again, remember, this is my middle shelf that you're seeing on the top, so that's something we tried to spread out just a little bit better because we knew that was going to be our feature and all. And you'll notice a lot of, not necessarily in this one, but you'll see risers and you'll see a lot of book stands. That'll help you be able to merchandise the product better. Again, on the eye level stuff and maybe a little bit below, you can lay product on the table, so that's great. But when you're on the upper levels, you can't lay them down. You always have to have them up. That's just simple, basic merchandising things. But it's very key, I think, within collections, you'll see some solids and also some prints. Mix those up a little bit so they don't look like one but they actually, you can see each product. It makes them pop, and you show the contrast. Then by displays, this is a key point here. 62% of all shoppers make impulse purchases when an attractive display, an appealing one, and are more inclined to buy those unplanned purchases. Minimalist displays with fewer products can increase perceived value by 28%. And then last, storytelling within displays can boost a brand recall by 25%. And really, your store, I think, would be known, they'd remember your store too. Now, here's a lot of different displays that we have. You have one-tier displays that are okay. They can really benefit you if you have high volume, things that you want to move out. Like our boxes of blessings are a great example of that. We have a corrugate display, 3 rows, 6 deep. Boy, you can have one to go, one to show, plus back stock. That's really nice. But the tier is actually very pleasing to the eye. Now, we're coming out, just to let you know, with an acrylic display where you can see those boxes of blessings. I don't know if it's going to be 2 or 3 rows and how many across, but the acrylics are also real nice because they can be something you just replenish all the time. But you can see their categories, their subcategories. There's a lot of different ways you can do the displays. Next up, coming from Christian Art Gifts, I know that when I was in retails in the late 80s and late 90s, that we had staffing. We could say, okay, go, Jim or Joe will help you go to this section. Nowadays, you don't have the staffing that you have. So it's great to have a display like this when your customers come in and say, hey, I need something for blank, mom, dad, men, women. Hey, go start on this display. I'll send somebody over as soon as we get a chance. And with this display, there's a lot of different products you can put on there. Journals, books, kids products, Bibles, things like that. Even our more impulse displays on 2-tier shelves, hangable products you can see there, stationary products you do. Here's 2 other examples of that. But not selling ours specifically, but this is a great way to do it as a one-stop shop, and it gives you a chance to, when you get a break, go over and help them if they need it. Most of the time, they can kind of help themselves there. Then by category, this is the last we'll look into. This is really key. You always want to make sure you have the best sellers, but there's some hurdles you have to overcome when you do that. For instance, like coloring, per SKU, that is our #1 category. A lot of people say, oh yeah, I did coloring, tried it, it was great, and it fell off. I would go back and revisit that because per SKU, that's ours, but you don't want to have a whole store of coloring. You have to look at everything. The minute you quit carrying like guest books, boy, you'll hear about it, right? Not always great sellers, but it's that evergreen item that you need in the stores. Then also by subcategories, very important. When you're looking at like an impulse display, I used to have a privilege of doing, the families, the Bereans, the Lifeways, and they would allow me to go into a model store, an actual store, to a warehouse, whatever, and redo their display. And we did a lot of planning and preparation beforehand, and then we'd come back and they decided if the buyer liked it or not. But what I noticed is that you can't just put all the best sellers on there of a certain category or subcategory. You have to have a good mixture. Like, for instance, I couldn't have all the boxes of blessings on there, but that's our best sellers. I can't have it all of our magnetic bookmarks, even though that's our best sellers. We had to have a good variety because we wanted each customer not just to take away one item, but maybe 2 or 3. So having that good mixed and that good balance is very, very key. By color is also extremely important, and I'll go a couple areas here. When we say classic covers, that's things like the grays, the browns, the navy blues, burgundies. Fashion colors be purples, pinks, turquoises, but also the combination of solids and prints. And the best way, if you can mix it up, a solid, a print, or have a row of each, that's always good. You can do Bible covers, of course, with the waterfall on the walls, however you want to do. And then also something that's key to remember is don't forget about the older and younger ages, or all ages, and then the male and the female. I just read an article last night that said that the age group 18 to 30 are going back to the churches. They're migrating back. And that's exciting, but we need to prepare for that and be ready for that younger generation to have those right designs in each of the categories. That just gives you a decent idea where we start with our extra large at the top bestsellers. We have a fashion landscape, fashion portraits, things like that, and then our organizers at the bottom, and then other portraits, their bestsellers at the bottom. Then we have, you don't want to have all of the same verses or sentiments. And you look at bestsellers. I'll never forget one of my first meetings with Mardell. We were looking at her bestseller list, and it was a bunch of journals that was, I know the plans. And so we laughed, and she said, what's that one? I didn't have my screen. I said, well, we're going to have to actually look it up by, other ways. And so this is our top three, but you want to make sure that you have a lot of variety of verses, sentiments, things like that. There's just an idea of our journal section, and what we try to do is we have the best sellers more at eye level, like we've talked about in the past, and then those who don't sell as well. Also, I've mentioned that anything that's on the bottom, it might be a better seller, but try to keep your bigger items on the bottom because they'll still be seen. Going back to the display, you don't want to have like a two-tier display at the bottom because they'll miss that, even the top shelf. Basic things, but really matter when it comes to shopping it. This is our last slide, and when we talk about by categories, a variety of shapes and sizes is extremely important, and also price points. I'll give you the mug example to be very specific. When I'm resetting our showrooms, helping retailers reset theirs, when I look at our best sellers, it's the $4.99 mugs, But there's a lot of other good mugs. A lot of people don't want the smaller mug that just, they drink quick because they don't want it to get cold. They don't want the bigger mugs. Some people are like my wife, Joanna. She likes a big mug, maybe two, to get her through the day. And so everything from the shape of the handles, sometimes the 2 fingers fit better, 3 fingers or 4. And then you want a good variety within the drinkware category. You want a nice amount of mugs, water bottles, tumblers, and travel mugs. And each of the points I said before, you would incorporate in any of these categories. Colors, sentiment, sizes, price, things like that. So this gives you a good idea of one of our showrooms in Dallas. We actually have our new showroom now, so be sure and come see us. But this will just let you know that we try to put the bigger products at the bottom, and then we go up from there, and some of the maybe the least sellers at the top, and then in the middle, the best of the best sellers there. So with all that said, that is the gift presentation